Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to another edition of the KevCast. We are back, and thanks for joining us once again. And as usual here, we're not live, but we are, I'm live right now if you're listening. But the interview we have is pre-recorded. So if you'd like to still call in, you can do that. We'll have some time after the interview. Our interview today is with Jefferson Bethke. Jefferson made quite a stir earlier in the year with his video, Why I Hate Religion, But I Love Jesus. Is it possible to hate religion and love Jesus? That was my first question. I think there's a little bit of debate over what that word religion means. In fact, if I look at the book of James, I see that there is such a thing as pure religion and undefiled, and that is helping the orphan and the widow. So why would anyone be against that? Well, of course, Jefferson's not against helping the widow or the orphan, but instead he's attacking a type of formalism or traditionalism that departs from the vibrant gospel we see outlined in the scriptures. But still, quite a bit of stir has been caused by this, and we'll get into a little bit of that. Jefferson was kind enough to Skype into a worldviews class that I taught this past school year, earlier this year, about April 2012 here. And so we had a friendly conversation. And so I thought I'd air that here this week. I think it's profitable for my listeners. And so we're going to jump right into that. Again, it is a classroom discussion. It's a friendly discussion. I wasn't on the attack. My Mike Wallace game wasn't really on full throttle there. But I think, again, it'll be profitable for you to listen to. While you do so, again, we're not taking calls, at least during the interview. You can't call in and talk with Jefferson. If you want to talk with me, the number to call is 818-431-8528. That's 818-431-8528. You can call after the interview, and we'll talk about whatever issues you want to talk about. But if you don't want to call in, you still want to talk, the chat room is open. So if you're listening live, the chat room is open. You can drop a comment in there. But just a reminder, if you want to leave a comment, you actually have to be a member of the Blog Talk Radio site. That's free to do. You don't have to pay anything, but if you want to leave a comment, you do have to join up to do that. Otherwise, if you want to log in as a guest, you're welcome to do that. You can look at the conversation. You just can't add your comments to it. So anyway, without any further ado, let's listen in on our classroom discussion with Jefferson Bethke, the author of the video, Why I Hate Religion But Love Jesus.
Jefferson, tell us first about yourself in general. I mean, we've seen you in the videos and some of the other videos on your site. Tell us about you.
Okay, a little bit about me. That's a good question. I was born June 12, 1989, so I'm 22 years old. I graduated college last year with a degree in politics and government. I was hoping to be first a lawyer, and then I didn't want to do that once they told me how much schooling you have to take, because I'm not that big of a fan of school. And then I was going to be a teacher, and that didn't really work out either. And so I worked at a middle school as an athletic director, and then kind of the YouTube thing happened, and I'm kind of just trying to figure all that out. So that was that. I started following Jesus at 19, so only about 3 or 4 years ago, and I haven't been the same since. So it's been a fun ride.
So how do you explain, this video just took off.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah. Did that catch you by surprise? Is that your purpose, or?
Yeah, I mean, it caught me off totally by surprise, because, once it took off, I got a bunch of, interview requests and stuff like that, and they were always like, what was the production value, how much did it cost, and how many people were on your team? And I was like, well, really, it was just kind of me and my best friend who's really good at video, and we just put together a video for $0 and put it on YouTube, and I started to get like 3 views, and it was like 1 million times that.
Wow.
Literally. So
you have experience in government, or at least you've taken classes in that.
Yeah.
So you're athletic director, so you and I already have a bond. I also teach government and current events here, which kind of is a good segue to the video that you put up. Because you mentioned, one of the things you mentioned is Christian does not equal Republican.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got the hand gestures right there. And words don't just pop up when I talk. But can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
It does seem like,
a lot when I was going around, especially by the very hyper Republican type people anyway. So when I made that statement, there was no political statement in it from me. It was really an idolatry statement. Now what I mean by that is anyone in their life elevates something to ultimate. We all have one thing we worship, we all have one thing we elevate, we all have one thing we get our satisfaction and our worth from, and that should be Jesus, and that should be His grace. But what happens is because we're sinful and because we have a proclivity to do something else, we put other things in that place, and one of the common ones, I think, in American Christianity is politics. We put Republican, we put our political views above whether or not the person's been saved by Jesus, and that really upsets me and really bothers me, especially because I think the Republican religious right actually gets it wrong a lot of times in regards to the worldview and the paradigm of the scriptures. Now, would I probably vote Republican? I probably would. I got my values line up closest with that, but that's just a side note. But I think they elevate that too much, and when you do that, I don't think Jesus is a fan of anything being elevated above Him. So I could have said the same thing with Democrats, and it still would have been the same thing. I just think a lot of times Republican is the one most associated with Him, so I thought I'd use that one.
And on that vein, I think some of the mistake is that there are some important issues, whether it's the marriage issue or abortion.
Yeah.
Do you think, I think as Christians there are stances that we need to take, but do you think that even those good stances can be elevated to an unhealthy, idolatrous level?
Yeah, exactly, and it's a hard tension because you don't want to become an issue Christian. What I mean by that is you don't want your worth, your identity to be defined simply by a political issue, right? Because it should be so much bigger and so much more broader than that. And I think as Christians we're supposed to stand prophetically above both political streams. And I think we're supposed to say, hey, you have some good things over here, you have some good things over here, but we are prophetically standing above because our kingdom is not of this world. But that's also a tough tension I'm still trying to grow and figure out because of abortion, for example. I mean, I strongly want to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves because that's what the scriptures call us to do. So how do I do that while not becoming just some big, political activist,
So the video itself.
Yeah.
We love Jesus, but not religion. And we watched the video here, but we also read some of the critiques of that.
There's just a few.
Yeah. We statistically looked at Kevin DeYoung's, and I know you've read that, at least he mentioned that on his blog. Looking back, is there anything that you would have changed if you were to do it again? Would you change some of the wording, or would you still stick with religion bad, Jesus is better than that?
Yeah. No, I obviously thought about that a lot, right? Because I almost wanted to die and crawl in a hole after the first week of the video being out. But that's a tough question. I think some of me says yes, I want to change a little, simply because I think some people just shut off the minute they heard some of my language and some of my semantics that I was using, and so that bothered me because I want them to actually hear the true heart of the message. But part of me wouldn't change that much either, because the ambiguity in my word and the kind of the loadedness of the word is also what made it get as many views as it did, which then made people start looking and pursuing Jesus. So it's a tough tension for me. Now, I do want to say I purposely was ambiguous with the word religion. I didn't have any adjectives with it. I didn't say if it was good religion or bad religion like the scriptures usually say, whether good religion in Colossians or, bad religion in Colossians or good religion in James. I purposely was doing that because art, by nature, you want it to be a little fuzzy with enough truth in it so that it gets people to pursue what you want them to pursue. Now, did I do that perfectly? Maybe not. But I also wanted to capitalize on the fact that the word religion, when you say that out in America, it means 1,000 different things to 1,000 different people. And that's what I wanted to show partially in the video, is that we need to get back to Jesus, because that's a little easier to define, a little bit easier to nail down than the word religion. Because in Seattle, where I'm from, when you say the word religion, people think hates gays, can't have tattoos, can't drink beer. And that's just not the essence of the scriptures. And so I wanted to juxtapose them in a way where people would say, oh, I've never thought about it like that. And a lot of people give me flack, like, well, okay, you can do that, but religion, that's not the dictionary definition of religion, right? And my response back is, well, how about you go around using the dictionary definition of gay and see how well that goes for you? Because that's not the definition. The definition we use today is not the dictionary definition. And so I think a lot of it came down between the battle between street definition and dictionary definition, and it was kind of just semantics at the end.
Well, I consider myself an expert in street language. I want to talk more about some of the criticism and just how you handle that. Before that, obviously the most important thing we want to talk about is Jesus. So you mentioned that you really started looking for the Lord when you were 19. Take us on your spiritual journey. What did God bring into your life that made you realize you need to be walking for Him, living for Him, and serving Him?
Yeah, good question. So when I was growing up, I grew up with a single mom, poor upbringing, welfare, Section 8 and all that. And my mom, I think because of that, wanted me to be a good Christian kid. I don't know. So we went to church, but not, so I wasn't a church kid, but I had enough church where I knew all the rituals, regulations. I could sing, Abraham had many sons, I could sing all the songs. And I could, I knew the rituals, and, I knew the felt board. So I had that, and all it did was make me some religious, bigoted Pharisee, because by the time I was in high school, I was the kid that said, hey, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't have sex, so I'm better than you, right? You're going to hell, right? Now, I'd never say that, because we never want to look that bigoted, but it's what was in my heart, it was in my mind. But then in high school, to be honest, pretty much the world got way more attractive than me white-knuckling, trying to be moral, and so I gave in, and I was like, yeah, whatever, screw it, I'll take the world, because that seems way better. So, and that led me all the way to freshman year of college, where I was just headlong into the more prodigal son lifestyle. And what I learned from those 19 years is that religion doesn't work. Trying to be good, trying to earn God, trying to be moral in hopes that God would like you doesn't work. And then rebellion doesn't work either, where going and living in licentiousness and all that doesn't work also. And so it was at 19 years old where God showed me both are enemies of Him, trying to earn Him, and then also trying to just say, screw you, God, see you later. They both are wrong. And it was through that God said, hey, I really do love you right where you're at. I've already pursued you, even though you've lived that lifestyle. And I would say that's actually what initially changed me, is I realized that He actually pursued me even amidst my filth and my sin. I didn't have to do anything to clean up. I didn't have to do anything to get better. But already before that, 2,000 years before that, He already said, hey, I want Jeff, I'm going to go get him, and I'm going to go pay for his sin. Now, when I understood that type of love, it's what I've been searching for my whole life anyways, in both religion. So I said, hey, I'm in, I like it. And so it hasn't been easy, but that's where I've been.
So what advice did you give to these guys here? We're talking 16, 17, 18, right around the time where God was working in your life, to some of these guys who may be in the same position. The world just seems so much more attractive. We're in our little Christian school where sometimes that Pharisee mentality can be inadvertently bred and grown.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to these guys who might be in that same position?
Yeah. Well, to some degree, not totally, but to some degree, I praise God that He threw me into the world, because what it did is it allowed me to stop playing the game. Because if he wouldn't have thrown me in there, I probably would have gone 50, 60, 70 years until my deathbed, where I thought I was a Christian, but I was really just doing a bunch of Pharisee, legalistic crap. And so I do thank him a little that he put me in he put me in a position where I had to say, okay, I really obviously don't believe this, right? Rather than me just saying, oh, hey, I'm good, right? Because I memorized 3 Bible verses, That's way more dangerous to be in than the world lifestyle, and you can see that in the prodigal son story, because the prodigal son comes home, but the older brother is still outside, hasn't come in yet. So it's way harder to get the religious person to trust in Jesus, because they go, hey, I'm good to go, right? So I would say to the high schoolers, first of all, I would say, you just got to understand that he loves you right now, and he's better than all those things. That's the biggest thing I learned too, is I thought God was just some big fat buzzkill, Like, oh, I can't have any fun anymore, right? But the cool thing about God is that he's the God of fun, he's the God of pleasure. And so when you understand those things in its context, he's actually bringing you into joy, not trying to take it from you. And when I learned that, I stopped kind of running after the toilet water, because I had perfect water and I realized that was him.
Let's talk about some of the criticism that you've received. I don't want to get specific about it, but more, how did you handle that? Because you're a young guy, you're a single guy, fresh out of college, and you make this video, and all of a sudden it takes the world by storm, and you've got the higher echelon of theologians all of a sudden picking apart your every word. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I got blasted, and it was awesome. Yeah, it was really difficult. Like, if I could just be honest, I would say really difficult. I didn't say this on all the news outlets, but I was, depressed for the first week. I wanted to delete all my poems. I wanted to never make another poem again. I thought I sucked at life, and I didn't want to come out of the house. It was hard. It was really hard, because what something like this did is it showed me just how addicted I was to what others think about me. It's just how enslaved I am to whether people tell me I'm awesome, and how hurt I am when they don't. And how I handled that, and the lesson that God showed me that I really want to share with high schoolers, because I think high schoolers are the most enslaved to what other people think. At least it was me when I was 18, and I think that's what trickled over into where I'm today, is that nothing can critique you, nothing can show you how much you deserve death, and no one can show you how bad you are per se, more than the cross that Jesus already has, because the cross says you need to die, and you deserve death. But at the flip side, no one can show you how much you're loved and how much you're worth, more than the cross already has, because he was willing to die on your behalf because he loves you. And so it's this double-edged sword that when you anchor your soul in that, you no longer become enslaved to what other people think about you. And you don't become enslaved to them telling you you're awesome, which is really dangerous. And you don't become enslaved to them telling you you really suck, which is really dangerous as well. And that's a huge encouragement, I would say, to high schoolers, that, man, when you know who he says you are, you can do a lot more.
Now, I think my biggest criticism with you personally, I don't give my opinions in the class too often, but I was really upset. One comment that you made, I don't understand, maybe you can answer this, I don't understand how a Christian can say he loves Jesus on one hand and then say he's a Yankees fan on the other side. Could you explain that? I'm confused.
The Lord's still growing me, He's still sanctifying me, and maybe one day I'll repent, but I guess just the hard-heartedness has got me to say I've been a Yankees fan since birth.
All right, well, as a Red Sox fan, I have to oppose you. As a brother, I love you, but as a sports fan, because I'm a huge sports fan, I can't.
Did you see the comment I put up a couple days ago? That's the one you're talking about, where I found out this food?
Well, tell us what happened, because I don't think these guys probably follow much on Twitter, because you guys are...
Yes, what happened is I was at the Tacoma Rainiers game, which is the AAA affiliate of the Seattle Mariners, so it's one step below the Mariners. And obviously the Mariners are big. It's one of the biggest rivals is the Yankees. And I was speaking after the game, so they brought me on during the game to be like the fan of the day or whatever, and just saying what I'm doing there and all that. And so she just asked me some fun questions like, hey, what are you doing? Who's your favorite baseball player? And she goes, hey, who's your favorite baseball team? And I was like, well, I don't really want to tell you because no one will come watch me speak after if I'm honest. And she goes, no, it's Casey Sam. I was like, okay, well, my favorite team is the New York Yankees. And all of a sudden, 3,000 people just completely booed me. And not just for like 2 seconds, but like booed for like 20 seconds. And it was just really awkward. And I was like, okay, see you guys later.
Well, getting back to the video, one of the things that I think some of the criticism was that you're buying into the whole idea that you can love Jesus but forget the church. And if I understand, just looking at your website, that doesn't seem to be the case with you. You haven't abandoned church. You're actively involved in church. So tell us, clarify that for us.
Yeah, so that was probably the hardest critique because it missed my heart so much, you know. And I even say in the video, I love the church,
right?
And so I was a little thrown off when I started getting that critique because I thought I clarified myself, but apparently not enough. Because there is this weird animal among the young generation where they're like, hey, I love Jesus, but, you know, screw the church, they're stupid, or they're hypocritical, or, you know. My favorite thing when people say, hey, I don't like the church because they're hypocrites, is I always say, well, surely you're not saying you aren't, right? I mean, surely you're not saying that you're some upper echelon man outside of the church that's better than everyone, because then you're actually doing exactly what you say you don't like. But just a side note for all you students. But I love the church, and I wouldn't be who I am today without the church, without accountability, without community. Now, what I wanted to attack a little bit is the fact that we have made church a brick building with a cross on top, right? But church is the people of God, the community of God, living with one another, being the body, and helping each other out with their different gifts. And so, loving Jesus without loving the church is like going to, you know, a husband and saying, hey, bro, I really like you, but your wife's an idiot, and she's ugly. You know, it's like no husband's going to be like, oh, cool, thank you so much, right? You know, and in fact, he probably has a right to punch you in the face. And so how much does that scare me when we talk about God's bride? Wrong, right? Because if the eternal God of the universe, who's jealous for his bride and passionate about his wife, we need to be careful how we speak about the church. Now, do we need to call some things out that maybe aren't the real church, the real Christians? Yes. But we got to be really careful how we talk about Jesus' bride, because it just won't go well for us if we think about her nicely, right? And then also the last thing I'd say is you need the church to have a better picture of Jesus, because the scriptures say that the church is the body of God. And so if you want a picture of who Jesus is, look at the body, right? It's like me saying, trying to just be Jesus is like saying, there's one pastor or one podcast. It's like saying, hey, let's look at the person's toe, and hopefully we can get a really good picture of who they are, right? Like, that's stupid, especially if they have an ugly toe, right? And so, it just doesn't work, and so you have to see the whole body for who it is. And so I love the church, and I pray that no one would ever hear that I don't in my stuff.
Tell us a little bit more about your church, how your church has affected your spiritual walk.
Yeah. So, my church has been a huge blessing. You know, I was out when at college. It was also really helpful. I was there for a couple of years and did an internship with the pastor. That was helpful. But the church I'm at now has been really a blessing, especially amidst this craze that we've been talking about. They've helped pray for me. They've prayed over me. They've provided covering and spiritual encouragement. You know, and that's what the church is for. Is the example I use is, you know, us trying to live without the church when something bad happens is like a lone ranger tree coming with a storm, right? So when a storm comes, the tree just gets dominated. It just gets blown over, and then that's it, right? But when there's 100 trees and a storm comes, they take it together and they spread the pain, and then they come back up together, right? And that's the true picture of the church, is that you can take pain, you can take all that stuff together, and you can be broken together, and you can confess sin together. And that's where I started to finally see the true nature of how awesome Jesus is, with a community of people where I could say, hey, I'm struggling with this today. Hey, I'm messed up here today. So, because it's not church when you just go to a bunch of Christians and say, hey, I'm really awesome today, right? Admitting sin, confessing sin, repenting of sin, getting prayed over, all that. That is the blessing of church that I found, and that I hope that everyone else would too.
Well, that's the end of our interview with Jefferson Bethke, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it even stirred up some conversation and maybe even cleared up a few things about where he stands. I was very relieved to hear of his absolute dedication and love of the local church. So the whole idea of hating religion, again, it goes back to a formalism or a traditionalism, which I'm sure most people would actually be against. He didn't really phrase it the right way, in my opinion anyway, but he is dedicated to the local church, and I deeply appreciate that. And I was glad he said that with my students listening in. Well, we're just about done this week, and I want to tell you about some interviews coming up that we have scheduled anyway. That doesn't mean they're actually going to happen, but we're in talks. We're going to be talking about 3 new books coming out. Actually, they've already come out, and we are looking to book the authors here, and we have some connections, and I believe those are going to come through for us. The first book, if you want to get a sneak preview, you have to look on the blog. They're already been posted there at kevinjthompson.info. That's www.kevinjthompson.info. The first book is Accidental Pharisees, Avoiding the Pride, Exclusivity, and the Other Dangers of Overzealous Faith by Larry Osborne. You can find that on Amazon. I won't go through the entire Amazon product descriptions, but that's our first book. Looks very interesting, coming out of a world of fundamentalism. That should be very interesting. The second book we'll be looking at, The Life of God and the Soul of the Church, The Root and Fruit of Spiritual Fellowship. I've already been reading this book by Pastor Sabidi, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name at this moment. You know who we're talking about, how many Sabidis actually are out there. But Sabidi wrote this book kind of based on a previous book, the classic, The Life of God and the Soul of Man. Well, he's talking about the life of God and the soul of the church, how we can have true, actual biblical fellowship within God's body. So that'll be a good, you can look at that. It's published through 9 Marks, and you can look that up. The final is a look at the book of Galatians, an actual commentary. Galatians, a mentor expository commentary by Pastor Terry Johnson, and I've looked just through this, and this looks like just a great book, a great commentary, a gospel-centered commentary, not just a couple of sermons thrown together and edited for a book, but a kind of an in-depth look at this epistle from Paul. So you won't want to miss these upcoming podcasts, and I'll let you know about them, so check them out on the blog. Also, check them out on Facebook. Check out our Facebook page. Just Google or just search the KevCast there on Facebook. And don't forget to like us on Facebook while you're doing that. That would be greatly appreciated. Well, we're going to end it right here, so I want to encourage you to come back next time, and we'll let you know when that next time is. Check on Facebook, check on the blog, and we hope to hear from you. But in the meantime, if you want to get in contact with me, Kevin at kevinjthompson.info, Kevin at kevinjthompson.info, if you want to give me some helpful hints on how to make this show better, or even some angry complaints, go for it. Kevin at kevinjthompson.info. See you next time.